Hello everyone, welcome to Pokédex, the channel where I build decks for the Pokemon trading card game. Today I have a very special video for you guys. I'm playing against Mike PTCGO. Mike has one of my favorite Poké channels on YouTube. He kind of threads on similar space as I do. We both play rogue decks, we both play pretty crazy deck ideas, and that's why it's a real pleasure to play against Mike this time. And what we are going to be doing is playing a best out of 3 match. And you can watch both sides of the match because I recorded it and Mike recorded it, so I'll have the link in the description for Mike's channel so that you guys can check it out. This video though, I'm just going to be showing you guys the deck and then we'll have a separate video with the match. Hope that sounds fine. One other additional thing that I have to say, we decided to play something different. We decided to try to challenge ourselves with a singleton deck. So we had to build a deck that featured only one copy of each individual card, so we cannot repeat cards except for basic energy. If there's a Pokemon that has 2 different versions, you can use those, but you can't just repeat the same card even if it has a different drawing. If the text is the same, you can only use one. So as you can see, my deck list is pretty big. I'm just going to try to go through it quickly, and then we'll jump through the matches. So the first let's start looking by the Pokemon, and the first one here is the Kangaskhan EX. I'm using this guy obviously for triple draw for a colorless energy. You can also use Kindred Kick, but it's kind of underwhelming, so the focus here is actually triple draw, because the deck is kind of inconsistent in that we play a lot of one-offs. Well, it's actually only one-offs. I guess having a Kangaskhan EX in here that allows us to draw 3 cards sometimes helps us get out of sticky situations. I have an Absol EX, it's the Plasma one. It's one of the 2 non-EX attackers in the deck, and this one has Mind Jack, which can be really good and really explosive if the opponent is not has already filled their bench, which will happen a lot of times. We also have the Absol EX and the Mega Absol EX. I know playing Evolution seems kind of risky in here, but it's only a 1-1 line. I think Absol EX is decent on his own because Dark Edge does 100 damage and the opponent's Pokemon deals 20 less, and Dark Fang deals 20 and the opponent discards a card for just a single energy. I mean, it's not like it's a great Pokemon, but we kind of need to have a lot of Pokemon just to increase the Pokemon mass, so to speak, in the deck. And because we are stuck to playing only one of each card, we kind of have to find the not so great Pokemon and stick them into the deck. Mega Absol EX, on the other hand, is a real beast. For 2 energy, can deal 160 damage, provided the top card of our opponent's deck is a trainer, and it's going to be because, I don't know, the singleton format doesn't mean that the players play less items. If nothing else, it will mean that players play even more, because you kind of have to find ways to get the cards into play. So Mega Absol EX, really good in here. We have a Darkrai EX, Dark Cloak, really useful, and of course Night Spear actually becomes a really decent attack if you consider that we can only play, for example, one Yveltal EX, which is hopefully the main attacker in the deck, but if we don't draw into Yveltal EX, or if we don't manage to get a lot of energies onto it, I guess we can go with the Darkrai, which is still pretty good with that Night Spear. We also have Malamar EX in here. Hyper Hypnosis is really interesting in that it puts the opponent's Pokemon to sleep, and then of course Maximar can dish out a lot of damage, or no damage at all, you don't know. I have a Sharpedo EX in here. Sharpedo is actually, I think, one of the best Pokemon in this deck. Because there's a lot of variety. Being able to have Jagged Fang and hitting for 100 and discarding energy from the opponent's Pokemon is really, really good. So Sharpedo can actually be a really good Pokemon in this deck. We also have an Yveltal EX, the baby one. It's the second non-EX attacker that I talked about, and it's a really cool card, using Oblivion Wing for just a single energy. And then of course I already talked about him, Yveltal EX. We also have another attacker in here, it's the Mewtwo EX, which kind of threads in the same tracks as Yveltal EX. The damage increases for the energy you put into it, and it's a very strong Pokemon, so it's a decent attacker also. And then we play Jirachi EX to grab supporters out of our deck. I'm not playing Shaman because we don't have a lot of ways to discard cards from our hands. We can only play one Ultra Ball, so I think Jirachi EX will be always good, just using that Stellar Guidance to grab a supporter out. We also have a Keldeo EX in here. Keldeo, if you can manage to stick the Floatstone in there, or just a single Dark Energy, provided Darkrai EX is on the table, can get you out of sticky situations, and that's why we have him here. And as far as trainers go, we have a lot of different stuff, of course, can only play one of each. So one Acrobike for card drawing. I'm playing one Battle Compressor. Sometimes it's good to find stuff that we don't really need and just throw it out. That's less cards that we will have to face in the game. And of course we can also bring energy if we manage to get, I don't know, the baby Yveltal in the active position. Playing a single Bicycle can draw us cards if we have less than 4. Playing a Dowsing Machine, I considered going with Computer Search, of course, because it increases the consistency, but because there's a lot of one-offs in this deck, we kinda can go with a second option most of the times. We don't really need the specific card, like we don't really need that the DCE or I just decided to build a deck to be able to be played with the second best option. So Dowsing Machine, I feel like it's a better ace spec in that in the later stages of the game it will mean that we have the second trainer card that we really need. So if we need a second energy switch, if we need another Ultra Ball, something like that, Dowsing Machine provides us that, and I think that's amazing. We have energy switch. Sometimes it's cool to switch one energy off the Keldeo or something like that, some cool trick like that. I mean, we have to fill the deck with something, so we also have one Evil Soda in here. The only evolution that we're playing is the Mega Absol EX, but having a second way to get it, it's, I think, worth it. Great Ball, we only have one Ultra Ball, so we have to find other balls, so I guess Great Ball, it's the second best, although it still kind of sucks. But as I said, finding the second best Pokemon is okay most of the time, so Pulpad is one of the best cards in the deck because we can only play one of each supporter. Playing a Pulpad and grabbing two supporters and shuffling back into our deck is really awesome, especially in the later stages of the game where the deck is kind of thin, and Pulpad just brings back our best 2 supporters. We also have a Pokeball in here, as I said, another ball. This one has to flip, but it does find any Pokemon that we want, so I guess that's the trade-off in there. One Professor's Ladder to grab us energy. We have one random receiver to find a supporter, obviously, so this is kind of a supporter template in our hand. And we have a Sacred Ash to shuffle Pokemon back, once again to bring back some repeat cards from our discard pile back into our deck if we need a second one of our Keldeo or Darkrai or something like that. Starling Megaphone, really good to get rid of annoying tools from our opponents. We have one switch in here, sometimes we need it. One Trainer's Mail or extra card draw, of course, and card choice. One Ultra Ball, the best ball there is, so kinda have to play it. One Via Seeker to grab back our best supporter and play it again. One Colress for card draw. One Lysander, really good tactical card as you guys know. One N. One Pokemon Center Lady, also pretty good in certain situations where we just heal off the damage. One Pokemon Fan Club, really good grabbing us that Jirachi or the Kangaskhan or something like that in an attack Pokemon. One Professor Birch's Observations for card draw, of course. One Professor Sycamore card draw also. One Shauna card draw, and then we have one Skyla to get any item that we need, potentially another supporter for the following turn. Steven is there for the same reason, you can also grab us an energy, so it's never an empty turn. So if we just play Steven for another supporter like a Sycamore, we also grab an energy that we can play that same turn, so it's decent. In this type of deck where we can only play one of each, I think Steven really shines. Then there's one Teammates, because it's really good when our opponent knocks out one of our Pokemon. As far as stadiums go, we're playing a couple of them. Shadow Circle, of course, if the opponent is playing some sort of electric or fighting type and we want to protect our Pokemon. And of course Silent Lab, because it's really good. We kind of have to be careful because some of our Pokemon do have abilities, but I think Silent Lab is also pretty decent in certain situations that we want to protect ourselves from. As far as items go, we have Eviolite, which for all intents and purposes it's a second art charm on our basic Pokemon. Experience Share, I mean, I kind of struggle to find cards to play, and Experience Share is actually pretty decent. Getting an energy back from the attacker we just lost, I think it's going to be really fine in a deck that does not have a lot of consistency, so we might struggle a little bit on energy, so Experience Share, pretty decent in there. Floatstone, you guys know what it does, especially if you stick it on a Keldeo, it's really nice. We have an Art Charm, as I talked about with the Violites, the same thing, we just protect ourselves a little bit more. And then we have a Muscle Band for extra damage. We also have a couple of Team Flare tools like Headringer and Jammy Net to further annoy our opponent's Pokemon. As far as energy goes, I am playing 1 DCE because I'm not allowed to play more. And if we manage to put it on, I don't know, it plays really well with a lot of our Pokemon, allowing us to retreat, plays well with a Mewtwo, plays well with a Yveltal, and also plays well with a Kangaskhan, of course. So really useful. And then we're playing 10 Darkness Energy. We really need a lot of energy to be able to find them, and that's the deck. If you guys want to challenge yourselves, or if you just want to play against your friends and you want a different format, I would definitely advise you to try this out. I think this format is really deep. There's definitely a lot that can be explored, a lot of interesting deck building stuff that can be done, and of course it forces you to play with not so optimal cards like the Absols and the Malamars and the, I don't know, the Sharpedo EXs of this world. And I think that's super cool when you find formats that allow you to get those second tier cards to shine. So yeah, give this idea a spin. So let's just jump to our match against Mike PTCGO. See you guys in a minute. Check out the other video for the match. Bye.